for his presentation. I looked up a couple of jokes about burgers. They go all over the place. Why were the burger and fries running?
To catch up.
That's good, because of fast food, also. The other one I liked, there's one about Jeffrey Dahmer. I was like, that's a skip. Found a hair in my McDonald's burger. I was so surprised. I didn't know they used natural ingredients. So Ali, we're really pretty lucky to have him here in the community. He was one of the senior executives at DoorDash. So he has like a really great history of the food industry and what it looks like for the future. So we're glad to have you here today. Just so you know, it's about a 6-minute presentation followed by Q&A. You'll raise your hand, use a microphone because we are recording. This does go on YouTube. If you don't use a mic, no one can hear you. Whose first time is it here? We are so glad you're here. Thank you for coming this morning. So I'll just let you guys know too, because everybody else hears me say this every week. If you borrowed a mug from the mug library, put it back when you're done. Don't take it to co-working. Don't wander around with it. Andy is in charge of the mug library, and she loves it when they go where they need to so that they can come back for the next week. And then last but not least, I'm going to give a little shout out to all of our organizers. I'm Erica Gifford. We have Andy Graham with Big C in the back. Sean Captain sadly just moved to New York, but he'll be back to visit. Davey Davenport, Sean Como, Amanda Moses, Thomas Sagley, Annie Lewis, and Tori Daly. So without further ado, I want to invite Ali Amin to the stage to talk about Rebel Burger.
Awesome. Can anyone hear me? Okay. Great. This is Rebel Burger. We are nutritiously delicious. And the first question I was asking myself philosophically was, why the food and beverage industry? In the age of AI, in the age of crypto, in the age of blockchain, why food and beverage for all you entrepreneurs out there? And we looked at the consumer spending categories for Asheville region, and we learned that it had the third highest spending category. It has a large market size for $1.7 billion, and it is also an economically resilient category. We know that through recession, the food category has relatively remained flat or very less decline. Now, we also know that from my past background working at DoorDash, I was going to every kitchen in America for Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Burger King, Sweet Green, Bojangles, and I also had a background in Red Runway and Fifth Avenue. What I learned was that the transformation that was happening in the retail industry 7 years ago is currently happening in the restaurant industry as we speak. And that means things like single view data platforms, omni-channel experience, and that is being built right now. So the next question was, what are the top problems we want to solve for in Asheville when it comes to food? So our process and our methodology was to scrape all the negative reviews in Asheville and ask ourselves, what are the unmet needs? What are the problems customers are experiencing? And 27% of negative reviews on Yelp and Google in Asheville complain that the food is bland and lacks flavor. The other problem was 35% of negative reviews on Yelp and Google highlight the food is undercooked or overcooked. And then, of course, our mission statement. I did a cross-country road trip from San Francisco to Asheville, and I stopped at every major highway stop, and I learned that there are not many healthy options. There was McDonald's, there was Cracker Barrel, and so 85% of deaths in America are from preventable diseases from what we eat. And in the Asheville region, we don't have Sweet Green, we don't have Chopped, we don't have Dig In, we don't have Just Salad or other such options. So these are the top 3 problems we want to focus on and say, hey, how can we solve these problems through Rebel Burger? The next question was, okay, let's create a simple menu to to achieve product market fit. So we scraped all the negative reviews from Yelp and Google, and we were asking ourselves, what are the top cuisine categories in Asheville? And the first one was American traditional. Second one was burgers. And then of course, fast food, breakfast and brunch in Mexico. So to achieve product market fit, we wanted to aim for burgers and create burgers that taste really, really good. So, here's my mom. When I was growing up, she would create these beef patties that were very uniquely spiced from Lahore, Pakistan. And I reached out to a local executive chef, Chef Christian, and I gave him these unique blend of spices. And Christian used to work in Runway, and Andrew is a Cupertine, and he's very well known. He has his own private chef called Brazen Confit. So we worked together in crafting these really uniquely tasting burgers, and also this really healthy plant-based bowl. So here's our value proposition and strategic differentiation. We have an all-American burger with a twist of multicultural influence. And then we have our plant-powered fuel. Now the first, the tasty burger, that's all the problem for, hey, the food is bland. Let's make it tasty, and let's make it have some multicultural infusion. And the second ingredient, the second menu item, there's this book called How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. And he has a list of all these daily checklist of items and ingredients you should be having every day. So I gave this list of daily checklists to Chef Christian and said, how can you incorporate all those items that we need on a daily basis and have them in this plant-based bowl? And so this plant-based bowl covers all the items you need on a daily basis for a good, healthy diet. Things like shishito peppers, oranges, carrots, snap peas, black rice, and so on. And lastly, we wanted to create something that focuses on convenience. We know that 54% of Americans want to have food delivered. Convenience is a new thing, especially post-pandemic. So we leverage heated bags. Our delivery is a little different. We know that 14% of customers complain that the temperature for the food has dropped for dining, not even for delivery. So we have our own heated bags, and we've had good positive traction where customers are saying, hey, the food actually is warm. So these are the three things we want to focus on with the laser focus. How do we have a insanely tasty burger? How do we have a very nutritious plant-based bowl? And how do we focus on convenience? But the next thing was, we're not just building a restaurant. We're very much a tech company. And so we wanted to build a restaurant as an experimentation platform to build B2B digital tools. And through building this restaurant, our process was to identify areas that businesses and merchants need to give them the tools to solve these main problems. And I always ask myself, how do we optimize the GDP of America? And to optimize the GDP of America, we need to optimize the revenue for small businesses. And small businesses, a huge chunk of them are restaurants. So to optimize the GDP of Asheville and Western North Carolina, we believe, and our hypothesis is, we need to optimize the GDP and the revenue of restaurants. And to do so, there are three main problems we identified. The first one was labor. Since the pandemic and even before, this problem became more prominent. Most restaurants in the area are short-staffed. There are concerns around retention, and we aim to provide tools to restaurants to solve this problem. By building a restaurant, by hiring directly, we know that hiring is broken. The main channel for hiring is Indeed, Craigslist, and a few others are Recruiter. And it's more like speed dating, and people leave in the first 75% turnover rate in the first 6 months. So we plan to create a new recruiting process for restaurants in the next 6 months. The other one is sales growth. I interviewed a bunch of business owners. I went to talk to various restaurant owners and asked them, how do you grow your business? And there isn't a meaningful way. It's mostly organic, word of mouth. But there isn't a systematic, disciplined way to grow restaurant sales. So that's our next thing, through how we provide a series of tools for digital marketing with a heavy local influence to enable restaurants to grow the business. And lastly, it's customer loyalty. Like the same thing in startups, retention is king. Same thing applies to restaurants. Restaurants have a 10% chance to for customers to come back after the first 90 days. That's extremely. The So they're always relying on, restaurants are always relying on new customer acquisition, and it's a leaky funnel. So these are the three main things that we are solving for at Rebel Burger, and we're succeeding in all three of them. And then once we have a solid case study from our minimum viable approaches, we plan to create them into a B2B SaaS tool and sell it to other restaurants in the area to help them hire labor effectively, such that retention rate is good. Then we have a sales growth through referral programs and customer loyalty through highly tailored loyalty programs, personalized CRM that we can provide to restaurants. So that's the other side of the equation. And we decided to build a restaurant first and get to this as we build the restaurant and solve these problems at Rebel Burger and help other restaurants in the area solve this problem as well. So we launched on September 1st. So far we have strong early signals of positive traction. We have around over 250 orders, 46 positive reviews on Google with 5 stars. We were surprised ourselves, and that's great. And a few of these reviews were high praise, and it's been really, the support of Asheville has been really heartwarming. One of them said that's the best burger they've had in 2 years in Asheville. The other person said, this is my absolute favorite burger in town, and that is not something I say lightly. And we've also partnered with 4 breweries to be able to serve our burgers in our plant-based bowl by having a QR code. Breweries have a pain point that they don't have food options at the breweries. So we partnered with 4, 2 more en route. We plan to be the food providers for all the breweries in the area. Breweries bringing in $935 million revenue in Asheville. And we have plans to expand to a food truck. We plan to expand to brick and mortar, and that's us. That's Rebel Burger. We plan to provide nutritiously delicious food. We plan to provide strong B2B tools for restaurants in the area, and our goal is to optimize the GDP of Western North Carolina. I'm also an operator in the builder, so not that really public speaking, but thanks for listening.
And he agreed to do this yesterday because the person had to cancel, so like, he did. Can you believe this? All right, who here has tried Rebel Burger? So there's a lot of room right here to, I mean, honestly, it was so amazing. Who has questions for Amin?
So it sounds great. Look forward to trying the burger. But besides eating burgers, what can we do to help?
Yeah, so there are 3 main areas. The first one is we are always looking for talented people to join our team. That is engineers, salespeople, and we're also active in fundraising, and then we're also looking at brick and mortar. So all those 3 areas are the key areas where we need help.
Great product, it really is. And you and I talked about the concept a little bit, because my background is restaurant as well. But I would say just, especially over the last 5 or 8 years, really focus on loyalty. Make every customer, once you get them, make them the center of a spider web, and whether that's text, email, or any of 1,000 ways you get them. Know them so well, because then when you message them, it's relevant. So I would say that was probably, I was with Zaxby's, and that was probably the most important thing we did, was really focus on the customer experience. And then, so I try never to send them something that's completely irrelevant. If I'm a salad person, I don't want burger, and vice versa, right? So that's what I would tell you. You and I will talk about that more, but I think that's the secret to growth in the restaurants nowadays. Everybody wants customization, and they want to feel like they're understood.
Absolutely, and I think that's a key goal that we're going for as well. I noticed that whenever you go to Walmart or Target and you leave the store, you get a series of personalized emails from these retail companies, but that never happens in a restaurant. You go to any restaurant, you leave, you never hear back from them. We've created a series of emails and SMS that tell the story about our product, about the benefits of a plant-based bowl, the benefits of our burger, and that we stay in touch with the customer over the next 60 days. Our goal is to give them a personalized story and messages and to stay in touch. And building that personalized CRM is key.
Hi, right here. So a couple of questions. One is, where do I get one? And why isn't that your first slide? And maybe I missed it. And then the real question is, do you only sell 2 products, burgers and vegetarian? Because I do want fries with my burger. And I'm not against just selling 1 or 2 products. I'm a big fan of that for some businesses. Why that choice?
Yeah, so we do have fries as well, which is cooked in beef tallow. It's been a major hit with our customer base. And we also season them with the hoary spices from my mom. And people love them a lot. So I was looking at this this case study of this company in Texas. It's called Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's started off with chicken fingers, and it was a very simple menu. And they just served chicken fingers and fries, and over the course of 3 years, they were worth $800 million in sales. And you figured out that simplicity of menu takes away from that analysis paralysis, the choice fatigue. When you see a huge menu, you can't decide what to get. So we said, hey, let's start with a very simple menu. But we have plans of expansion. We plan to expand to breakfast. We plan to expand to smoothies and juices and drinks. We have a host of, our chef is working on a pipeline of various menu items based on health and based on things that people like to eat. And in terms of ordering, we started off with, as an experiment in building an atomic unit. And so we are operating out of a church in Hawk Creek, at 315 Old Hawk Creek Road. Our focus is to have online ordering. You can place an online order, and you can come to the location to pick it up, or you can have it delivered to your house. Or if you want a dine-in experience, we partner with the Whale Outpost. That's right, very close to us, 4 minutes away. You can go to the Whale Outpost, have a beer, scan the QR code, and have our food delivered. So right now we are in a sense omni-channel. We have dine-in, pick-up, and delivery, and we plan to expand to a brick-and-mortar location in the next 6 to 7 months.
Yeah, hi. I was curious, just what the vision ultimately is here. You're starting with one concept, store, if you will, even if it's omni-channel. Is the goal really to become a different version of the Sweetgreen, to kind of take that model that they've developed? They were one of the first movers in the space in kind of going into this area of digital and omni-channel. And then I guess secondarily, how do you see growth? I mean, and I think it's interesting that you started not with brick and mortar, and how you see, if things go well, how do you scale this business to multiple locations and ultimately different markets?
Yeah, great question. So our ultimate goal is to build a network of health-based kitchens across the Asheville region. We're starting off with one location, and it's a commercial kitchen that we rent out. And we're very thoughtful and deliberate about that model, because we noticed that there were various kitchens that opened up and restaurants that opened up in Asheville that closed down after 1 year. And that's because of real estate costs. That's because of high overhead. So we said, hey, why don't build an atomic unit, build a loyal customer base, and reverse the model on its head. Most restaurants start off with a brick and mortar first, and then expand. And we found that to be a very costly process. So we said, hey, let's build a commercial kitchen, let's hook it on with online ordering, and build an atomic unit and then expand. So our first vision is building a network of health-based kitchens across the Asheville region. Our second vision is to build a series of B2B digital tools that focus on labor, supply chain, sales growth, and sell that to the restaurants and customer loyalty. So we are very much a tech company using our kitchens as a laboratory, as a experimentation platform where we can build these tech tools, prove concept, and sell to our restaurants.
Hi, good morning. My question is twofold. One is around employee retention, because you addressed it a bit in having kind of a different way of doing that, but I wondered how it's going with that in terms of finding solid, reliable people to work for you. And then the other is for customer retention. What is the average wait time for your product to arrive at its destination? And then are you planning for customer retention to switch up the burger and the bowl to have different options, with a simple menu but just different products?
Absolutely, great question. For the first one, labor. So recently, I don't know if you follow the news, the governor of California increased the wage of restaurant workers to $20 an hour. So the first was, hey, is it the minimum wage? Is it career development? Is it a flexible schedule? And you want to tackle all three. And so we said, hey, let's pay people 18 an hour and managers 20 an hour, and also give them equity, not in terms of stock options, but in terms of cash bonuses, and also have tip on top. And it has been a good way to attract talent, but that is not the only part of the equation. That has not resulted in a superior quality of work. So wage is only one part of the equation. The second part was career development. We've told everyone we've hired that it is not a kitchen job. If you were interested in animation, we have one person who's majoring in animation. They will make animated videos for us. The other person is interested in supply chain, so they're creating a supply chain process for us. So we want to bring your whole self to work, and every other area of interest that you have, we want to utilize and capitalize on that. So all of the people who are working with us, we are giving them a vehicle to improve and build their career. Most people feel it's a dead-end job, and you want to give them more than that. And the last piece of the equation is flexibility. We are working towards, if our vision is to have a flexible workforce, if you want to go hiking on Mondays, you can do that by having an automated scheduling tool that you don't have to ask the manager to take time off. It happens autonomously through technology. So you take the middleman out, asking for permission goes away, it becomes a more direct process. So these are the three things we are tackling right now, and so far we've attracted, I feel, we've attracted the top talent in the restaurant industry. All the major restaurants in the area are applying to our Rebel Burger, and we're operating out of the church, and that says something. The other piece of the equation, wait time. So the way we think about wait time is there's prep time, or ticket times, how long it takes to make the food, and then there's delivery time. So ticket times, we actively track ticket times for every order. Every order, ticket times are calculated, and then after every week, we sit down in the room, the entire team at Hatch, and we discuss how can we optimize ticket times. For burgers, we know that Five Guys takes 7 minutes. We have optimized our ticket times to 6 minutes. Of course, during peak hours, that an order volume, it varies, and there are fluctuations. And for plant-based bowl, it takes us 5 minutes to prep the bowl. And then there's delivery time. That varies on traffic, distance. But our promise on our website is 40 minutes, but internally our goal, this stays between us, is around, we want to deliver 20 minutes. We want to be quick and fast delivery. So we control our delivery radius as well. And we want to make sure we are serving a Hawkwick area first. And we are hiring our own delivery fleet, as well as leveraging third-party logistics services to fulfill our delivery promise.
And then the last one's just about are you going to switch up the bowl and burger?
Yes.
As
So
far as what you offer?
absolutely. And so the first part of the equation is customization. If anyone wants gluten-free or napa cabbage wrap, we are launching that this week. And the other piece of the equation is new menu items. We have 3 different burgers in the pipeline. We have 2 different bowls in the pipeline as well. Our chef is very creative, and he has this awesome ideas around the future of our menu. So far, we asked every customer feedback, and the plant-based bowl has been a major hit. And I believe you ordered in the past.
I did, and it was awesome.
Great.
Really good burgers. That's right. And I got both, actually, because I wanted to try both, and they were both amazing, really.
Great to have.
Just to clarify, I think you cook it in beef tallow, like everything you cook is in beef tallow.
Our fries are in the salad.
The fries, okay. But the other things you cook are just in what kind of oil you use?
We don't use any single oils. We're health focused. Our plant-based does not use oil. For our beef, it's on a flat top, and the beef itself has fat, and we use vegan butter if needed.
It was fantastic for me to hear kind of your strategy for starting. I love that you're in the Hawkwick area. I actually passed I pick up my son there every Friday, and I've seen your sign, and I cannot believe I haven't gone in. I promise to rectify that. But it was interesting to hear how you're kind of launching in Whale and delivering there and pickups. If you were to say, what are the 3 key things that you want to learn in the next, you said 6 to 9 months you want to be in brick and mortar. So if you were to focus, what are the 3 things that you want to learn before you launch? I'm really curious to hear those. And I really quickly have to correct you, some of myself, Raising Cane's started in Louisiana, not Texas.
Louisiana. That's right. That's right. That's
Had the best 2 years
Yes, so I think the first thing we're focusing on is, coming from the startup world, retention is king. So we are asking ourselves, can we get 20% of customers to repeat? Past Thursday, all of our customers repeat. Our current repeat rate is around 5%, but we've just started, and we're looking at a time window of 90 days. It's only been 30 days. So the first thing is, how do we get customers to repeat? How do we get customers to come back to us and keep ordering? If we solve that problem, we have achieved product market fit. And then the next question we're asking ourselves is, do we have a scalable and sustainable way to acquire a new customer? And we have a multi-channel acquisition strategy. We're deploying direct mail to every 2,000 households in Hawk Creek. We have advertising on Nextdoor, because we know Nextdoor is a platform on like Facebook and Instagram where people are very much immersed in local conversations and things happening in the neighborhood. We're also investing in YouTube. So the top two questions we're asking ourselves are, can we get 20% of customers to repeat? Can we enable power customers to come back with high order value? And the second one is, do we have a scalable and sustainable way to acquire new customers? And the third will be labor and supply chain. I order stuff from local vendors, vegetables from farmers, mountain fruit product, meat. But there isn't a single platform that connects restaurants to these local vendors. And supply chain is operationally challenging. In terms of a lot of the payments are done by paper. So we want to disrupt the supply chain process as well. So the three things will be customer loyalty, customer acquisition, and then supply chain, how we streamline that process and make it simpler and easier.
You have to be the most analytical entrepreneur I've ever heard. Where did that background of yours, your mindset come from? And then give us a little view of where you see yourself 6 and 12 months from now, please.
Great, thank you. My first job, I was in Westchester County, and I was in social media marketing, and I was presenting to a CEO, an older gentleman, who was a veteran in the industry and a leader, and I was presenting about creative and how it would result in an impact. He called me in the room and he said, "Hey, this is all fluff. I want a direct response marketing analysis." And since that conversation, it turned my brain into more analytical. Thanks to Andy Joyce was his name. And I became very analytical. My background became in data, and I would analyze large sets of data. That's when big data was taking off. I created personalization algorithms at Saks Fifth Avenue. How do you create algorithms that target customers with things they like the most? I went to run the Runway. I was a growth analytics manager, conducting a series of experiments on their website, on their app. So a lot of the work we did was, conviction is great, but back it up by data analysis, and that's where my analytical mindset came from. And for the next 6 to 10, I don't know, but I don't see myself, I don't see that far out for myself, but I think the things that I want to tackle will be the problems that I mentioned. I always ask myself, instead of envisioning my career for the next 6 to 10 years, what are the top problems to focus on? And I think labor, supply chain, sales growth, customer loyalty still remain very challenging problems for restaurants, and we want to solve them. And you're going to provide them the tools to solve these problems. And I firmly believe it's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity right here in North Carolina.
Hello, thank you. So many great questions, and I had two, I guess. You mentioned supply chain and labor, and I've spent a lot of time in the industry, and I'm just curious if you've given, I'm sure you have given thought to it, but how do you convey the vision to those who you are recruiting to join you in this mission, so to speak, without giving away the sweet stuff, the center of your vision and idea? How do you get people excited? I think of Shake Shack. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay. So those people that work for that company are just totally pumped. And they have, it's not just because they're getting paid, it's not just because they have a cool logo, There's something that guy really gets, and his people are just, they die for it. So I mean, getting people excited, especially in the food service industry where the burnout rate and the turnover is just ridiculous. How do you get people just pumped on your vision and to just jump in and not even question it? Let's do this. That's my question.
So that's a great question, and I'm thinking about that every day. How do you get the people excited? How do you get them really believing in the mission? And we do things. The way I thought about it was, if you're working at a large corporation or even a startup, the hiring process is very different than if you hire a frontline restaurant worker. And the way that happens is, if you get hired at a major firm, they call you in, you meet the founder, you spend time with the founder, they give an onboarding session. There's onboarding with every team, from marketing to customer service. And after the onboarding, the first 90 days, and there's one-on-ones and there's check-ins. There is a management process at play that is missing with restaurant workers. And so during the pandemic, a lot of the executives realized that frontline workers are core to strategy. You can't win the business without engaging the frontline workers. It's not just a bad job to do, someone has to do. So we flipped that model and we started instituting all of these management processes. I bring them over here at Hatch. We have weekly one-on-ones, we have weekly onboardings, we have a hiring process, we discuss areas of optimization. We don't want them to be only focused on just the kitchen job. We want to discuss their career aspirations. We want to make sure that they understand our mission and they're excited about it. And then we connect them with a 360-degree, all of our operations, all of our business functions. We connect them to it. They understand what's happening in marketing. They understand what's happening in customer service. We get them to connect with our customers, speak with our customers. This is the food you made. Is the customer happy? And then when they find out that the customer is really satisfied, it gives them that feedback loop that's often missing, I would say, at even Shake Shack, I argue.
Sure.
I used to go to Shake Shack Innovation Kitchen in New York City and understand their processes as well. And so we've created this management process to make sure how do we engage our frontline restaurant workers in a way that has never been done before. And we realize that if we find the right people, they really appreciate that. And that's one of our ways to get them immersed in the mission and have longevity. It's still an experiment. Let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, and to that point, or add to that, is the most successful franchisees I've ever seen is, one, you're doing the right thing. Include your employees from the lowest level to the upper level and let them all know what's going on in the business at all times, because then they know what they're part of. But the most successful franchisees I've ever seen is when they took that and then added to it. Let's say every month you want to grow 10%. Anything over that 10%, split with all of them. Because you don't care, you've made your money. If that's what you agree your percentage needs to be, and you will see more add-ons, more growth, more upselling and stuff like that, because people know anytime they cross that line, they get a piece of the pie.
I love that. I know, Joe, we talked about this. We plan to institute a cash bonus, exactly that. If you hit our sales target,
You don't care.
then we want to make it a financially rewarding experience.
Do we have any other questions on it? I just wanted to mention Margin Edge. They came and presented in the first year of 1 Million Cups, and for restaurants, they automate the invoicing process. Paiza, we introduced them, and he has been raving about how it's automated back in invoices, because it basically takes that part out, so you can focus on all of your growth.
Awesome. Love that.
Do
Margin
you have a
Edge.
question? Okay, George has a question.
So talk about capital. What are you gonna do to raise capital and how much you need and all that kind of stuff?
Great question. Great question. I think now is the right stage to reach out to the angel community in Asheville. In the beginning, we were in the building phase. Let's build and prove. I think after hitting our strong early signals of positive traction, now is the right time to raise capital. And I think our first step of the process will be to engage the angel community in terms of our needs. We have engaged real estate agents in the area, and our first need will be brick and mortar. And what does that look like? I think the rents that we looked at, that's $7K a month. If there's a kitchen outfit cost, that's $300K to $400K. We do have strong capital runway right now, but we wanna have investors as partners who help us connect with the right folks in the area, who help us navigate the regulations and the city permits, the licensing. So our needs will be around, our capital needs are around, looking at raising around $500,000 in the beginning for our brick and mortar. We do have strong capital runway. To get that, we also want to engage investors who help us navigate the market, who have deep connections with the market. So I think our needs more or less on the capital side, more on the connections in the industry. Your thoughts, Josh?
All right, let's put our hands together for Ali. Thank you. I love your analytical mind. I'm like, this is so cool, and it's been fun to see you work on this, like from a distance. We got to go to like your initial tasting, and I love how you said like when you were here a child, your mom would try and incorporate like the flavors from your country into American foods, and I love that you've done that too with Rebel Burger. It's like all encompassing. So cool. All right, so we've already gone through the organizers. Big thanks to all of our sponsors. Charlie Troy Ball donate the space generously each week. Hatch Foundation, and if you're here from the organizations, raise your hand. Score. We got Mike Trufa in the back. The Hatch Foundation. Eileen is right over here, and I think Chris Bueller was around at some point. And big shout out to Eli, the computer guy, who makes the cookies every week. And today we have 2 flavors, chocolate and brown sugar. Manny Lewis with EXP Realty, Mountain Biz Radio, Venture Asheville, Edward Jones, WMC Business, Mountain Bizworks, Big C, Dynamite Coffee Roasting, Viking Mergers, and a huge shout out to Coffee Curious just down the hall who makes our coffee each week. Again, please return your mugs to the little card that's right out here. And coming up next week, we have Making It in Asheville, which is a podcast. I don't know if anybody's tuned into it. If you haven't, it's Asheville's #1 podcast. It's going to be Tony. This weekend, Metabolic and Hatchworks, there's a free class at Metabolic, which is an exercise facility just around the corner. They do some Pilates and that sort of thing. It's totally free, so sign up if you're interested. Venture Asheville Demo Day is coming up on the 24th. This year they're doing it at Asheville Community Theater. Last year it was a load of fun, and it's fun to see all of these entrepreneurs do their presentations and their pitches. And then we have the 3rd annual Hatchoween at Bear's Barbecue on the 28th. We're going to put it up, I think, on Eventbrite in the next week, so keep an eye out because we may have to limit it this year. I think we had so many people come last year. It was so much fun. There will be a costume contest, and we are looking for a sponsor of the cash prize. So if you'd like to sponsor it, let us know. What?
Musical guest.
Oh yeah, the musical guest is Laser Leisure.
Laser Lover.
Laser Lover, and they were voted by WNC which what? The Express?
#1 party band.
Yeah, #1 party band.
Yeah.
And they're totally 80s. Bring it back. All right, so we'll look forward to seeing you next week for Making It in Asheville. And thank you again for coming. Have a great Wednesday.
See you.